Okay, I would like to thank you, Nicholas, for joining, first of all, this session. We are here today, as you are a member of the advisory board, to discuss with you and present to you the project guided. But let's first of all start with a couple of words introducing yourself as a member of the advisory board.
Yes, thank you, Achilles, first of all, for considering me for this advisory group. I am Nicholas Moudouros. I am the head of training and development at Emphasis Center. My background is in computer science and data communication systems. I have been teaching for the last 11 years computer-related courses, starting from young ages, 6, 7 years old, up to university students, seniors, and in a large variety of courses, including the ECDL. I teach a lot of robotic classes, coding, video game design courses, even programming with the use of drones. My interests include subjects such as blockchain, Internet of Things. I am also involved in various Erasmus Plus projects, which they mainly aim ICT related fields. And I'm guessing this is the reason I'm here now. As far as my organization emphasis that has 4 different doctorates. We have the education department, which I said previously I am the head of. We have the professional training department, where we train other organizations, not only business-wise, but we also have a one-stop help support for immigrants and for other groups of people. We have the research department, which is involved in various European projects, and we also have a software development department, which offers solutions and platforms concerning projects which have to do, again, with education. So this sums up what Emphasis does.
Yes, thank you, Nicholas. I also know your work. I mean, one of the reasons I invited
what
you
I personally do.
Yes, one of the reasons I invited you to this advisory board, because I know that you and also Emphasis Center is dealing with Erasmus projects, but also other kinds of projects that have to do with different groups at different ages, including also older adults in terms of training, education, lifelong learning, and so on. I know that you're dealing with the technology stuff in those projects and proposals. So from our side, this is the website of the guided project. It's guided-project.eu. You can navigate to that in order to find out more information if you like. The guided project is funded under the AAL program, the European AAL Ambient Assisted Living program, which is, as the slogan says, they are aging well in the digital world. So in the project, we actually aim to utilize and integrate existing open source technologies, platforms, and tools, which many of the some of the partners in the consortium we have developed in previous EU framework program, but also other solutions like Open Hub, which is outside the scope of the outside the development of the partners in the project. So some of the platforms, platforms are actually open source and were developed by some of the partners in previous FP7 projects that had to do with assistive technologies. They are in the nature of Internet of Things kinds of platforms, but they have a focus towards assisted living for people with disabilities, but also older adults. And that was one of the reasons that we, in the proposal, we incorporated these platforms. And also the other kind of platforms are like Open Hub, which is an IoT open source platform, which also can be integrated and used as part of the final solution. The difference in this project, it's the augmented reality part. We call this the augmented reality expert, training expert, or healthcare expert. And this is a service that we want to offer. It's a virtual service, actually. It's not something like a wizard that someone has to follow when using the Android application that makes use of these backend IoT and assisted living services. It is more of the development of the human-computer interaction on the Android application in an augmented reality way, so with AR features, so that it makes it easier for the older adults to actually perform their end goals. So, for example, things like navigating easily within a city, or finding out information on how to use such services like, for example, a smart hub. So we try through the augmented reality features to provide behavioral interactions that allow the users, the older adults, to easily use these kind of services and thus avoid any abandonment of these services by the and these technologies by the older adults. So, of course, during the project, we have also pilots, which will include the testing phases, but also there would be also one-to-one training sessions for learning some of these features. But the real value, again, I repeat, has to do with the augmented reality features that simplify the way that you interact with these services. So the partners in the projects are shown here. We are a diverse group from Cyprus, Austria, Poland, and Norway, including Materia, for example, group and Carte, which are more end-user oriented organizations. While we have also technology partners, for example, KII in Austria, and also University of Cyprus and Frederick Research Center. And also we have Platus, which is a business, an SME in Austria, which aims to exploit the product that will be built in the AAL project as one of the main business partners for this proposal. And we also have Harpo, which is a hardware technology expert, but also plays the role of the end user organization in Poland for the pilots there. So I will start at a very high level with the architecture of the project. So basically the project it's separated in the back end and then the front end. The front end it's an Android application that can run on an Android mobile device, and in the back end we have the cloud, which includes virtual machines, and we have actually five different services which are used in and implemented in the project. These five services, at least some of them, like for example the smart home service, the smart safety service, and the smart navigation service, as I said at the beginning, they are using open source platforms, which were either developed by partners in previous projects or are part of the open source community. Like, for example, the smart home and smart safety service, they are using the Asterix runtime environment, the Asterix product, which is actually a middleware. It's a middleware that can run on a smart kit, on a smart hub, that allows to control different kinds of smart home devices and also receive data from sensors about any health hazard, for example, from gas sensors, smoke detectors, and so on. In addition to the ARE, on the home side of things, we also have the Open Hub, which is again a middleware software, which is applied on Raspberry Pi kind of smart hubs. And with that, we can extend the gamma, let's say, of devices that we can actually control. And also, for example, the smart navigation service uses the open source Grasshopper API. Grasshopper is similar like the Google Maps, but it's an open source software for enabling AR, augmented reality navigation. And finally, the social communication service, which uses the Google WebRTC open source protocol for the social aspects of communicating between older adults, so that they can communicate between each other. So it's both the product, the final product that is composed of these five services. These five services are delivered in the form of web services, web APIs. They are defined in a form that is extensible. So this is done on the back end by each being a different service. And in the front end, where the smart home hub is, the Asterix and the Open Hub are based on a plugin based architecture. So you build a new plugin for each new device that you want to communicate with. So that makes it extensible for the future and beyond the project scope. So we will get a product out there with a specific set of devices and a specific set of services, but the architecture was defined in such a way that so that they can be extended in the future, perhaps by the company Platus, beyond the project scope. So This is in terms of the architecture, and since the project is currently under development, the product, although we are more than 0.5% underway, nearly 70% of the work has been done. We have another 4 or 5 months to do so, to finalize this. I'm going to show you some high fidelity user interface prototypes that were designed in order to get a feeling of what each and every individual service provides. So we have at first the main user interface, which has two proposals. The one, it's a buttons kind of design. So each user has an account based on which we can get information about the different services. And the user can log in the Android application based on the username and password that is provided to him or her. And this presents a a button kind of layout with which he or she can select which of the services he or she wants to interact with. These are the 5 services that I mentioned before. Of course, we already had we had the first phase of evaluation, so some of the drawings here have been changed based on the feedback. This is the second type of interface that was proposed in the first phase of testing.
Achilles, can I ask you something?
Yes.
So you tested it with elderly, with senior citizens, and they gave you a feedback on the...
Yes, based on this presentation, which I have defined, because Frederick Research Center is it's responsible for the Android front end. So we have created these high fidelity prototypes, and these were printed out, or in some cases due to the pandemic, the PDF versions were used in online meetings with the older adults. And we actually showed to them the end user organizations, mainly Materia, Harpo, and Carte, had sessions with the older adults, with the test users, and they have provided feedback on which interfaces they would like, what changes they want to make, and any other kind of feedback in terms also not just the UI, but also the backend functionality and the purpose of each service. And based on that, we have we created a table where the technical partners has provided some answers on how to address these comments. Some of the comments, of course, needed additional development effort, a lot of additional development effort. So these were we just prioritized and said this could be done. Okay, this could be changed in terms of the user interface, and maybe this is a good addition, but this is beyond the project scope, and so on. So we have categorized this in a technical meeting. So yeah, basically the UI is the same. It's just that we have a tiles design here instead of for the main UI, instead of a buttons layout. To be honest, they have made a choice, but I don't remember which one is it now. My developer may know in my team, but I don't remember right now. So of course the user can log out, and that means that it's always logged in when it goes on, when it clicks and loads the application. It's continuously logged in unless he or she explicitly logs out. Um, so now let's dive into the different services. The first one, it's a smart health and nutrition service. It actually can take different kinds of forms through the AR feature. In our case, we are focusing on the smart health part of the service. Of course, this is initiated by clicking the health tile button. And this opens up the camera within the guided app in AR mode. And based on that, through augmented reality images, the different pillboxes can be recognized. And based on the user that is logged in, the information can be presented in terms of the pills that the user has to take, at what time, and a feedback from the user if he or she has taken that pill. Again, the interaction for the user is just clicking the health button, and this loads up in the camera mode and recognizes a pillbox. Of course, the view of the pills, it's kind of a more matrix view, rather than just one pill for one day. And this would be the final. So this is how it is represented to the user, and this allows him or her to keep track of the pill prescription, during the day. There is also another part of this service which uses again one open source messaging service, which is Twilio, if I remember the name correctly. And this is for reminders, for example, 20 minutes before, in the case the user has not explicitly interacted with that service. So what we want to offer more is through the AR features, through the AR augmented images recognition, to be able to provide a simpler way to identify information about the prescriptions and be healthy by keeping track of their health status. So
I ask two questions about
yes, of course.
about this.
Yes.
First, will the person add manually how many times he has to take the pills and what time intervals?
No, this is something that will be done by the. It has the possibility to be done actually by the health expert, or if the user is capable, because we are not talking about people that have dementia or any kind of disability. We are talking more of a lifestyle product, as I said. So they can do it also themselves. So there will be a button in the Android application where it takes them to the backend CMS where they can add this information. But in the project, this is done. This is mostly referred and can be done by the health experts, just to simplify this for the older adults.
And my second question on this, the phone will take photos of the pill box. It does that in order to understand if there is a pill inside or not. That's the main functionality of it.
No, actually, the just like you enter the prescription for each one in using the CMS at the back end, we have the capability as for actually we will do this for the 3 countries which are the end user organizations. we will upload, so augmented reality works as follows. Together with this information, we upload, they are called augmented reality images. So it's an image that we took before of each individual pillbox.
Okay.
So basically what it does is that it recognizes that image because it's pre-configured that it knows what this image is, that this is a pillbox. And then it will show just the schedule in a matrix kind of way, and receive feedback from the user if he or she has taken the pillbox. Sorry, the pill. The pillbox, it's already pre-configured as an image so that it can be recognized through the augmented reality feature.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the two things. So AR images are pre-configured, and also the pill information, the prescription information, it's added through the backend. Okay, of course, as I said, we allow this choice to the user. If the user feels confident with technology, he or she can enter this information themselves. If they want the help of a health expert or a family member, then they can do it for them. So this is the first one. The second one, it's the smart navigation service. It's actually an AR navigation mode. I think 1 year ago, Google Maps already released something similar. And this is actually, so the user again has predefined some spots like the home, supermarket, grocery shop, and shopping mall. And the camera, by hitting the navigation button, again, the app is loaded in the camera mode, let's say the AR mode. And the user can select from the drop down one of these. Maybe he's already at the grocery shop and wants to go back home. Okay, and clicks go, and this starts the navigation. Let me remind you that the backend service is based on the Grasshopper API. It's an open source Google Maps like service. So we actually host this. We are hosting this open source API at one of the VMs, like an independent service. And based on that, what we do actually is that we don't want to show a complicated map mode, but we want to show both. So actually we augment instructions inside the camera mode, so that the older adult can navigate in the physical space. And this is based on the device orientation, the device direction, the device location, and so forth. And this is augmented at the bottom with the normal Google Maps, just in case someone feels more confident with that mode in terms of this. So this is the second service. Are there any questions about this, Nicholas?
Sorry, I'm mute.
Yes.
No, it's crystal clear, and it looks like a really clever functionality, this one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the very good cases, and at least some of the partners, even the technical partners, said that they will also use this service, which seems to be easy to use also, especially for older adults. So the third one is the smart home service. And again, through the AR expert, the AR features, the AR training expert, as we say, just by clicking on the home control. Here we actually have two modes. The first one, again, it opens up in the camera mode, in the AR mode. And again, using the augmented reality images feature, it can recognize specific devices. So we have, if I'm not mistaken, yes, we have four actuator devices that they can control, and we have 3 sensors, which is the next service. So for this one, we have 4, and I think we will add a 5th device during the project, which can be controlled just by pointing at the specific device. Of course, if you see on the top, we have a button, which is the UI. So if someone feels more confident to use the UI mode, or in the case, for example, you are not in the room. So let's say that you are not in the living room, but you forgot to turn off the lamp while you were reading your book, let's say. Then you can go to the UI mode and click on the living room, and that will allow you to turn on and turn off any of the devices that you forgot to do so, which was something that we said that we need to have, although we are mostly delivering the AR training expert features. But this seems to be convenient in the case that, for example, we are in another room. So that was the reason we added also this kind of feature, which looks like any other kind of IoT hub that we have out there. And again, the user can click to select a specific device in the UI mode. And of course, he or she can click back to go back to the camera AR mode in the case he or she wants to directly be able to control without having to click through the living room and then find the specific lamp and so on. So again, the AR feature offers a simpler way to interact, a more behavioral interaction, which is direct from the user and easier to use, rather than clicking through tiles to identify a specific device to interact with. Mm-hmm. So that is about the smart home service.
I have a question about this, and yes, I don't know if you will answer it later on. It considers the setting up of let's say this smart house and offering all these smart appliances and controlling them through the phone. Will the user have the capability of adding themselves more devices? Will they be provided by the consortium a specific set of, let's say, smart lamps? Yes. Will someone come and do the installation for them and initiate the communication between the mobile phone and the device?
Yes, that will be done just like in the case of the smart health service. This will be done initially during the one-to-one training session. So someone will pre-configure this for them. And this will be done again through the CMS, the backend CMS. Of course, again, if they have the technical capabilities, they can mess around with it and they can reconfigure it. And the second part of your question is that in the project, we will offer a specific set of actuator devices like a door control, a smart light, and 2 others. So there will be a device set that will be included with the product and with the price of the product. But of course, since we are talking about Asterix and OpenHub, which are plugin based, then beyond the project, additional devices can be supported by the company and implemented beyond the project scope, so that the gamma of devices and sensors, actuators and sensor devices, can be extended.
Yeah. It would be nice to see heating, cooling control.
Yes. Yes, actually the Asterix and the OpenHub have already a very huge list of OpenHubs. OpenHub has more, and some of them are also major brands. And Asterix has, I think, around 100 something plugins for different kinds of devices. Of course, some of them are even for different kinds of for assistive purposes. Like, for example, we have one plugin that is for head computer control for people with that have serious disabilities, and this was done in the project Asterix. But of course, the company is able to select some of those and perhaps integrate those and provide them as part of the package at the end, beyond the project scope, I repeat, because in this project scope, we are aiming for specific actuator and sensor devices, as you understand, also due to the time and effort limitations that we have. So any other questions about this service?
No, you can proceed, I think.
Thank you. So the smart safety service is actually, again, using the same two backend services, which is on OpenHub and Asterix framework. But here we are talking about sensor devices. And this again has two modes, the AR mode, which allows to check also the status of the device and that everything is okay and there is no problem. But also you can use the UI mode to check directly, even if you are outside that room, if everything is okay. Of course, this includes, again, using Twilio, the messaging service, which allows to, through the Asterix or OpenHub, to update the user with a very loud ringtone that there is some problem with this service. At the moment, I think we are thinking also of adding, sending through Twilio SMS messages or maybe direct calls to people which are configured in the backend in the CMS as primary contact points in the case of emergency. So that's the idea about the smart safety service. So it's actually, again, based on the IoT and assistive technology middleware, Asterix and OpenHub. And the final service, it's a more of a social, especially now in the age of the pandemic. We have a more social interaction through a service that pretty much looks like the any of the available ones, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, or Skype, or any of the tools. So the functionality is pretty much the same, which is an audio-video communication, just like we have now. So pretty much the user can select from his contacts or her contacts to initiate this interaction. What is different in our case? Nicholas, are you with me? Okay. So it dropped. Okay. In any case, so I was saying that for this social communication service, we actually wanted to provide a way to communicate with family, friends, in order to, or even healthcare experts, in order to alleviate things like loneliness, especially now in the pandemic era, and since older adults are one of the most impacted groups, if not the most impacted group from the pandemic. So that seems to be pretty much working like any other Facebook Messenger, Skype, or any other kind of service, where you can select the contact, you can call using audio and video. Again, we are using, the implementation is based on the WebRTC, which is a Google open source technology, so it's implemented on top of WebRTC. Again, I repeat, this is a Google open source protocol for audio and video communication. Mm-hmm. And this brings us to the interaction mode. And but the only thing that we propose, apart from the actual implementation of the service on top of WebRTC, is that we, together with the device set that we have for the smart home devices, we also, there will be part of the product, if you see on the top right, a so-called wide-angle lens, which this wide-angle lens, it actually provides a more holistic view, an augmented view actually, where you can see not just, for example, just like we speak now and we have only the upper torso, but it provides the whole view, and in this way you can actually socially interact with the person, like drawing with your grandchildren, or reading a book with a friend, or having a coffee, something that creates through this just simple wide-angle lens, the experience, the augmented experience again, because that's our thing, trying to augment things, in order to be able to feel like you're sitting in the same table and having a cup of coffee, for example.
Is it like a clip-on lens to the normal camera?
Yes, it's a clip-on lens, which is part of the device set, mm-hmm. Which is included in the product which you purchase, and if you have this when you initiate the social communication service, then this wide-angle lens, it's actually just a lens that augments the view and makes this a more holistic experience, let's say, and more social experience. One of the additional things is that this was something that the older adult can opt in or opt out, and they can disable it or enable it if they want. But this was a possibility to meet others. So at the starting screen, when you click the social communication service, you can click the button on the top, Meet Others. The feedback from the first phase was to change the name there from Meet Others to something else. So we are going to do that, just to be something more meaningful. They are actually provided some examples. And this actually randomly selects a person, And if you want to call this person, you can call it, as long as that person has this option enabled for privacy reasons and for just in case someone doesn't like the feature. And based on that, they can engage again in a more augmented view kind of experience. And if they want at the end, they can also add each other to their contacts list in a way that they can be more socially interactive with even with a person that they don't really know. Again, let me stress out once again that this is something that the older adult can select to enable and disable. And once again, the augmented view, it's actually simply delivered by the implementation of the video audio communication with the added key point of having this wide angle lens to deliver a more holistic view of the communication. So that's the end. We have used some of the older adults images from the pexels.com, so credits go to them. Thank you very much. And if you have some further questions, I will be happy to answer.
Yes, Achilles, thank you very much. It was really interesting what you showed me right now.